Everyone, if you will all please turn off your handheld devices. If you will please turn off your handheld devices, we're about ready to start.
may be seated. Good afternoon. And I am delighted to welcome you on this very, very special occasion, the formal induction of Jaki Shelton Green as North Carolina's 9th Poet Laureate. Your presence today honors our state's deep literary traditions. Our writers, and there are many in the room today, enriched North Carolina through the creation of poems. I'll wait till maybe we can get the sound adjusted. I was going to say, can you hear me? But I know you can hear me. Is that better? Your presence today honors our state's deep literary traditions. Our writers, and there are many in the room today, enriched North Carolina through the creation of poems, plays, short stories, novels, songs, and spoken word, to name some of the ways that the creative output of our writers are made manifest. And our writers have brought North Carolina national and even international recognition. And today we come together to celebrate Jaki Shelton Green and show her our support as she assumes the mantle of Poet Laureate and explores the power of poetry, of spoken word, of creative writing, and really of creativity itself with the people of North Carolina. Our governor appoints the Poet Laureate. To assist the governor, the North Carolina Arts Council issues a call for nominations. We convene a panel to review the work and accomplishments of those North Carolinians whose names have been put forward. A list of finalists is then forwarded to the governor. I want to thank our panelists, Joseph Bethanti, Maury Creech, Jason Mott, and Amber Flora Thomas for their work in reviewing the nominations. I also want to express my deep gratitude to Governor Roy Cooper and First Lady Kristen Cooper for their strong support of the Poet Laureate program and for the work of the North Carolina Arts Council. Their belief in the transformative power of the arts greatly inspires our staff and board to do everything in our power to carry out our mission, which is to sustain and develop the arts in all 100 counties for all our citizens and residents. Thank you, Governor and Mrs. Cooper.
Good afternoon, everyone. African Americans from North Carolina have shaped the literary traditions of our state and nation for generations. And in their writings, you'll find that many wrote of hope. For instance, George Moses Horton's powerful prose speaks of his hope for freedom, for he spent nearly a lifetime enslaved in Chatham County, North Carolina. Dr. Anna Julia Hayward Cooper, who was born enslaved here in Raleigh, put pen to paper in the 19th century to advocate brashly and hopefully for a society that rendered equal rights unto blacks and women. And Polly Murray wrote wearily of hope in Dark Testament. I'd like to think that today is hope turned reality in the eyes of these and many other ancestors. Today, a woman whose prose rings loud, clear, and unfiltered is being installed as the first African American Poet Laureate in North Carolina's history. Yes. like to note that the joy and the warmth and the excitement that everyone in this room just shared is phenomenal, considering the space where this installation is happening today. Right. This is a space that was built by enslaved peoples, for whom it would have been illegal, according to law, to put pen to paper or consume the written word. So again, today is phenomenal and incredible. So I hope that this significance is lost unto no one. And I want to close by saying thank you to Jaki. Thank you for writing in the spirit of our ancestors. Thank you for fulfilling our ancestors' dreams. And finally, thank you for turning our ancestors' hopes into today's realities. Thank you, Jaki.
Since 1948, 8 North Carolinians have served as our state's Poet Laureate, and it is an honor to have the immediate past Poet Laureate, Shelby Stephenson, here with us.
Jaki Shelton Green, North Carolina Poet Laureate. Jaki Shelton Green moves within circles of infinity. Her words come out of humanity and love, especially for people. Back to beginnings, mortality's song, the body's arrival, the mother's aching and baking, the grandmother's hands in the pan, kneading and pushing dough to the poet's riffing words, inviting us to know that Jaki's arrival has been here all along. How could we imagine singleness? F-land, where Jaki was born, was called Green Springs. You better believe it. Lovers walk their dogs there. It's 3 miles to Hillsborough. Joggers run 5 miles away to Mebane, where Jaki lives with her husband, Abdul Latif. She lives close to the poem as it shapes her into a new woman, leaving sparks to darkness for light, for men and women, boys and girls, and poets going on in prayer, for colors all promising the rainbow will show no separation of hues, for children in situations arriving for music and dance at the ball. Her poem, Dust Memoirs, scans the bowels and bosoms and bones, and one called Hips sways good from evil to abort bigotry and the KKK that shifts masks as easily as the poet scrambles up musk, music, hymns, and joy to replace the devil's drivel. So here we are today, our past throbbing with tree limbs, hanging their leaves with joy of dying and coming back with weather's seasons of flowers and bald's bobbing thread twined to roll that apple recall, sends to strike with a bat carved from hickory. Whack! A grounder thrashes grass with ease of childhood's snapshot logging in. The catcher's mask we called a mast. Jaki's voices create real masks. See her auction block. Imagine the master. One Master Peterson got drunk in Georgia and lost 3 slave boys to a gambler, disappeared in exchange for a set of mules. Let us bring ourselves into her vision, vigor, rebelliousness, to make over things of the world into sunrises for the lost and forgotten, our oppressed, put out to live in storms that batter, drown enough to lift us up into their bones and lives we share, as her words with love resound, we shall.
I'm very pleased now to introduce our Secretary of the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, the Honorable Susi Hamilton. Secretary Hamilton certainly appreciates the arts for their intrinsic value, but she also knows from her work in regional planning and in historic preservation that the arts are such an important economic driver for North Carolina. In her work as secretary, she's also supported the ways that the arts have been utilized to help our veterans and active servicemen and women who've suffered the wounds of war, and how the arts serve as a catalyst for helping students find success in school and in life. In short, she has great enthusiasm and energy for using the arts to assist communities, urban and rural, throughout the state, and it's been a very great pleasure to serve under her. Please join me in making welcome the Secretary of the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, Susi Hamilton.
Thank you, Wayne. I wrote every bit of that. It is truly a privilege to lead a department where so many people work with great dedication to serve our citizens and to sustain and preserve our state's most precious cultural and natural assets. I am very much an arts advocate, and I do believe in the power of the arts to make North Carolina a better place to live and work. I have traveled to some of the places in our state where, we lose it again? Okay. I've traveled to many places in our state where the North Carolina Arts Council is working to transform our communities using the arts, which has made that city into a cultural destination. And A+ schools in Onslow County, where I've seen firsthand the way the arts are helping our students succeed. I want to add my personal congratulations to you, Miss Jaki, for your appointment as Poet Laureate. Jaki is not only an accomplished writer and poet, but she is deeply devoted to encouraging diverse voices across the state to tell their stories through poetry and the spoken word. She will be a wonderful Poet Laureate. We have some special guests with us today who I'd like to recognize. First, I would like to thank all of our legislators. They are the ones that vote to fund the work of our department, which includes support given by the North Carolina Arts Council, as well as the Poet Laureate program. Will our legislators please stand? I see Senator Woodard and Senator Foushee here. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. I would also like to thank the senior leadership of our Department of Natural and Cultural Resources who work with me every day to fulfill the mission across North Carolina. Reed Wilson, our Chief Deputy, Stacy Meyer, our Deputy Secretary, and Dr. Kevin Cherry, the great crier from the back of the room, Deputy Secretary of Archives and History. The person who is our champion for bringing the best out in North Carolina is with us today. He is challenging us every day to find ways to serve the people of our state by preserving the natural and cultural resources, our heritage, educating our youth, creating jobs, and stimulating economic development. I can tell you that he and First Lady Kristen Cooper participate in the arts themselves and have encouraged their children to be artists. Governor Cooper has made certain that the SMART initiative and A+ schools programs in North Carolina Arts Council are part of the Hometown Strong program that is assisting rural communities across the state. It is a privilege to serve a leader who cares so much about our state and who has the vision for how we can develop and prosper, yet retain the best of who we are. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Governor Cooper.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Secretary Hamilton, for your good work and for your leadership. This celebration has been a long time in coming. I made this announcement quite a while ago. Somebody named Florence came through our state and ruined it one time, but we are here today and we are so excited. The power of sculpture, the power of painting, the power of music, the power of words, like we just heard, the power of the arts. We know what it does to improve the quality of our lives. We know what it does to improve our economy. But sometimes we don't even realize what they find themselves. They do not do well in school, and then they discover the arts. They discover some talent, and it comes out. And they start getting better at everything else because they found something about who they are. We've seen this happen so many times with the arts. And today, we will celebrate someone who knows how to move people with the power of words. I'm so honored to be here to finally officially crown Jaki Shelton Green as North Carolina's new Poet Laureate. Kristen and I do believe in the power of the arts. Kristen used to serve on the North Carolina Arts Council for many years and believes, as I do, that every North Carolinian should have the opportunity to participate. And I want to now particularly thank and acknowledge Shelby Stephenson, who has served as North Carolina's Poet Laureate for the past 3 years. He has performed his duties with his down-home Johnson County charm and a true love for rural North Carolina. Shelby, I want to thank you for sharing your spirit and your talent with our state. Thank you very much. I'll tell you what, we know how to celebrate in here. This Carolina Duke game Wednesday night is not going to have anything on us tonight. You know, the late, great Maya Angelou once said this about poetry. Write it so people can hear it, and it slides through the brain and goes straight to the heart. Jaki Shelton Green's writing embodies this philosophy. Jaki encourages us to open our minds to the importance of telling stories from the heart and from personal experience. She has encouraged North Carolinians to create poetry and contribute to the voice of our state in an uplifting voice that documents the expressions of a diverse people who are shaped by their experiences, their communities, and their history of North Carolina. We're so lucky to have a poet of such talent as our new laureate. She serves a state where we appreciate writing that touches our hearts and our minds and inspires us to action and unites us in our humanity. Let me tell you a few things about Jaki, but I know that you guys know a lot of them. She's a distinguished educator, and boy, you know how much I love my educators. One of my kids was thinking about going into teaching, and the other two said, "You're just trying to be daddy's favorite." Jaki has taught poetry and creative writing classes at public libraries, universities, community colleges, public and private schools, and literary organizations in North Carolina, across the United States, and abroad. She currently teaches documentary poetry at Duke University Center for Documentary Studies, a practice that she will incorporate into her work as Poet Laureate. She is an Alamance County native who is the author of 8 books of poetry. She is a 2003 recipient of the North Carolina Award for Literature and was a 2014 North Carolina Literary Hall of Fame inductee. Laureate, and I want to... Here we go.
I guess I'll be still. I am very grateful to Governor Roy Cooper and First Lady Kristen Cooper for bestowing the esteemed honor of serving the state of North Carolina as the 9th Poet Laureate, and for the cultural capital that you have given to me as the first African American and 3rd woman to serve in this position. It is sincerely a pleasure to be able to serve with you a rich and vital legacy. Key telephone conversation. The staff of the North Carolina Arts Council has been a righteous support team for me. Many thanks to Wayne Martin, David Patorti, Rebecca Moore, and so many other staff members of the North Carolina Arts Council who efficiently orchestrated what truly seems like a royal wedding today. My friend, my brother in the word, my sage confidant, Shelby Stephenson. I am grateful for the rich and honest friendship that we share, and I am honored to share this history with you as 2 Southern wild rural poets who happen to become Poet Laureates of North Carolina. Angela Thorpe, I have so much love, deep appreciation, and respect for you. Thank you for your unwavering support and for welcoming me into the necessary work and mission of the North Carolina African American Heritage Commission. To my mother, Ivory Vincent, thank you for never holding my dreams hostage, for always feeding my strengths and tending to my weaknesses. I am so grateful for the love and support that you and Daddy always provided. I am grateful to my ancestors, my father, Carnish, my grandmother, Eva Tate, who continues to whisper in my ear, my ancestral aunts, Alice and Ossie, who taught me what it means to be steadfast and intentional as teachers, my ancestral uncles, Nathaniel, Jefferson, and Irvin, who are still straightening my wings, and to my firstborn, my angel Imani, who reminds me every day to keep moving in truth and beauty. Thank you dearly to my only sibling, Gerald, who is a brother to cherish and who always has my back. To my dear husband, Haj Abdul-Latif Fisher, you bring me so much joy. Thank you for this love and support that is overwhelmingly perfect. To my children, Imani, Segun, and Eva, thank you for bearing the life of the poet mama. Thank you for holding me accountable, For my children, Rashida, Hamza, and Amina, thank you for embracing me lovingly and blending our family with amazing grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Cedric, my son-in-law, who unflinchingly offers so much support to me, I thank you for always keeping it real. Granddaughter Courtney and husband William, you exemplify a future of Black love and a goodness that makes my heart smile. I am grateful for the new joy that granddaughter Fiona and great-granddaughter Ocean, the babies who are here today, that joy they bring into my life. They inspire me to continue to clear the rocky paths that will ensure that they walk into a future that is free and powerful as Black girls. Katasha, my niece, thank you for often reminding me who I really am. For her husband, Sean, thank you for always being present in our family. Tashana and Ivory, my great nieces, who are sick, and we didn't want to bring the germs to you. You are amazing lights in my world, and I am holding so much space for you as you grow into greatness. And much gratitude to my first cousin, Val Jean Mitchell, who would be the sister I would have dreamed into existence, and her siblings, Carol and Jefferson Jr., and her husband, Charles, who have been by my side forever. Thank you to cousins Valdez and Charles and Diana and Shaftina and Michael Holt and Carlton and Akil. I am grateful for all the journeys we continue to share. To everyone at Carolina Wren Press and Jakar Press, thank you for the magic you provide as you weave my poems into books. And a very special thank you to Judy Hogan, founder of Carolina Wren Press, who first believed in me and guided my poems into publication. I am so grateful to the legacy of all the North Carolina Poet Laureates who have left large footprints and handprints on this map of literary merit, especially to the first woman appointed North Carolina Poet Laureate, my dear sister Kay Byer, who I miss tremendously. Thank you to the Board of Directors of the North Carolina Arts Council, who financially support the work of the North Carolina Poet Laureate, and also to the many public libraries, universities, public schools, arts councils across the state, literary and humanities organizations, nonprofits, businesses, book festivals, literary festivals, and media outlets that help to bring my voice to all the people. I am always grateful to the children I have the good fortune of interacting with, who make me walk my talk. I am grateful to a multitude of extended family members and friends who have been holding me up, guiding and supporting me on this life journey. To all of you who have traveled from near and far to hold this space for me, I will cherish forever your generosities. To my North Carolina literary community, we are the best community of writers on the planet. I love and I respect your hard work and abundant contributions to our culture. I am proud to be a part of you, the literary community. To all of my friends, to my sisters, and you know who you are, I am eternally grateful for your love and for all the light that you harvest with me. I woke up today thinking about poetry and how poetry can change lives, mainly because several literary ghosts visited me early this morning. Phyllis Wheatley showed up in my heart, first published African-American female poet, born in West Africa, 1753, sold into slavery at the age of 7 or 8, and transported to North America. Her publication, Poems on Various Subjects, religious and moral, was published on September 1st, 1773. 1773. Reminding me that we have been here before. We have been here before as the first ones, as the only ones, and we are here again as the first. It is in our DNA. Georgia Douglas showed up in my heart this morning also. My grandmother was the person to tell me about Phyllis Wheatley when I was in elementary school, searching for someone to write a book report on for Black History Month. My grandmother would later introduce me to the poetry of Georgia Douglas, who was born in 1880, an important figure of the Harlem Renaissance. And she was also one of the most accomplished African-American women poets of the literary movement. And if these two visitations were not enough, I dreamed about the time I met Audre Lorde for the first time in the Virgin Islands. And I can still feel how tight she was squeezing my hands that day. Squeezing my hands tight and whispering, "Don't let them stop you, because they will try. You have to be strong, and you have to keep writing. Protect your heart," she whispered as she held me close. Today, Audre Lorde reminds me that my wings will get scorched, but I must continue to fly. Today is also Audre Lorde's birthday, and I celebrate her gifts to me by breathing. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Today, Audre Lorde reminds me that my wings will get scorched, but I must continue to fly. Today is also Audre Lorde's birthday, and I celebrate her gifts to me by breathing her words into this space today. Poetry is not a luxury. It is a vital necessity of our existence. It forms the quality of the light within which predicate our hopes and dreams toward survival and change, first made into language, then into idea, then into more tangible action. Poetry is the way we help give name to the nameless so it can be thought. The farthest horizons of our hopes and fears are cobbled by our poems, carved from the rock experiences of our daily lives. My heart today is remembering how poetry must have changed the lives of Phyllis Wheatley, Georgia Douglas, and Audre Lorde, and how poetry is changing my life today. I know that poetry is central to our culture and that it is capable of being the most powerful and transformative of the arts. I am grateful to God to be chosen to help North Carolinians and wherever I travel to understand that poetry has the power to bring things together, to unify our deep and diverse experiences, to celebrate our humanity, and that it is truly, truly the music of our lives. Thank you. And I think the Poet Laureate should read 2 poems. I know the grandmother one had hands. I know the grandmother one had hands, but they were always in bowls, folding, pinching, rolling the dough, making the bread. I know the grandmother one had hands, but they were always underwater, sifting rice, bluing clothes, starching lives, burying sons. I know the grandmother one had hands, but they were always under the water, always under the cloth, pushing it along, helping it birth into skirt, dress, curtains to lock out night. I know the grandmother one had hands, but they were always inside the hair, parting, plaiting, twisting it into rainbows. I know the grandmother one had hands, but they were always inside pockets, holding the knots, counting the twisted veins, holding on to herself, lest her hands disappear into sky. I know the grandmother one had hands, but they were always inside the clouds, poking holes for the rain to fall. Who will be the messenger of this land? Who will be the messenger of this land? Count its veins, speak through the veins. Translate the language of water, navigate the hills of lineage. Who will carry this land in parcels, paper, linen, burlap? Who will weep when it bleeds and heartens, forgets to birth itself? Who will be the messengers of this land, wrapping its stories carefully in patois of Creole, Irish, Gullah, Twi, Tuscarora, stripping its trees for tea and pleasure? Who will help this land to remember its birthdays, baptisms, weddings, funerals, its rituals, denials, disappointments, and sacrifices? Who will be the messenger of this land, harvesting its truths, bearing unleavened bread, burying mutilated crops beneath its breast? Who will remember to unbury the unborn seeds that arrived in captivity, shackled, folded, bent, layered in its bowels? We are their messengers, with singing hoes and dancing plows, with fingers that snap beans, arms that raise corn, feet that cover the dew falling from okra, beans, tomatoes. We are these messengers, whose ears alone choose which spices, whose eyes alone name basil, nutmeg, fennel, ginger, cardamom, sassafras, whose tongues alone carry hemlock, bloodroot, valerian, damiana, St. John's wort. These roots that contain its pleasures, its languages, its secrets. We are the messengers, new messengers, arriving as mutations of ourselves. We are these messengers, blue breath, red hands, singing a tree into dance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Governor Cooper. And thank all of you for attending this special ceremony. And now, please rise while the governor, our new Poet Laureate, and our speakers recess through the chamber, and you can continue your applause as they recess, and then please join us in the rotunda for refreshments where you'll have an opportunity to congratulate Jaki Shelton Green.